have the water shooting into it so that the mist pulls back onto your house with the embers and puts them out as they're fine.
Can we double our tanks?
No, there's no room.
There's no room.
How would we do that? I mean, possibly
Bigger tanks.
taller tanks. I mean, they could be taller. They couldn't be, I mean, we don't have any more room up there
To have
to,
more tanks.
but we could, put them higher. I mean, it would be, a
Right.
full replacement of everything that we have.
High rise.
Yeah.
And it's really too bad, I could have given you a nice tank, I just had one.
Well, yeah, it's nice.
But,
I think our current tank, the plastic ones are probably a lot better than what you
well, they
put
are, in
now.
fact, they really
Yeah.
are, right? And you've
Yeah.
done a nice job of using the plastic tanks, but it's small, right? 25,000 gallons is really hard. You've got one single hydrant down there, which gives you one pump truck, one hose worth of fire protection. That's what you have on your street. You have a single fire hose of protection.
So,
And it's a little scary.
Paul, we've emailed about it some, but why can't we take for Maria and Blue Hills and put the pump over next to the other pump, or double the size of the other pump and pump across?
The pump, which one? The one over here?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so what I'm trying to do, it gets complicated, is, let's go back here, one more here. This is the pump at the top of Arrowhead Lane, and what we could do is consider cutting off this leg here, getting rid of those sprinklers, and routing this water that way. And so if we actually had this pump forcing here and that pump coming up, it would be great. Because what it does is it minimizes your capacity limit, because we have essentially unlimited water here.
I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like, are those four heads to the right there, are those sort of mostly protecting you because Maria Lane's not protected? I mean, if that went all the way up and over the ridge, could you then
Great question.
get away without it though?
Great question. Why is this line here?
Right,
Two reasons. One is, this is a big problem area for us, it's a big open area.
right.
The other thing is, when I remodeled my house, I had to run a 4-inch high-pressure line all the way up the hill to the tank. And so you have a $50,000 asset in the ground waiting.
Right,
All you have to do is punch holes in it and put in your sprinklers.
right.
And so it's an easy fix. But you're right, the best solution would be to cut this here and then put the focus here, because our problem is the fire coming this way. Now, what really has me worried is with the trees up here at the top of the hill, the problem the fire department sees, they talk about flame height. That's the new thing, flame height. What does flame height do? It tells you how far the embers are gonna flow, right? And the worry is, if it's at the top of the hill here, those embers are gonna come right down into this middle area here. It's gonna come right down on top of us, and so that's a concern.
So I've seen up on, Kings Mountain and Omaha and some of these places up the peninsula, they've been doing massive efforts of removing, all the low-lying brush and trees. I mean, can we spend money to get all that crap up there cleaned up that you took pictures of and everything?
That should be done.
We should be doing that, right?
Right.
And I'll tell you that on the Saratoga Fire Safety Commission, the whole discussion is on reducing fuel. It's a fuel problem, and it's everywhere. Dead trees and brush and all this stuff is everywhere. That's the problem. Once that stuff gets going in a wind, you can't stop it. And if a fire starts at night, the real issue is the fire department isn't fighting fires. They're evacuating people. Their rule is people first. Property doesn't matter. They're gonna get people and run.
Well, that's a good priority.
I like the priority, right? But it is really the issue. But it goes to the point that, and maybe what we could do is a simple solution. We could just put one cannon right here in the middle and just kind of get it kind of wet. And that would be a very viable solution. And so you can see what we're doing is we're looking at how we can restructure this thing to make it work for you. Because, let's face it, you're the front line. You're like the rest of us. Fire comes this way, there's not a lot we can do but just run. So we could leverage a pump here, leverage a pump here. If we go and do some tricks there, if you got a 1-inch line up here, that's a mess. 1 inch is not,
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like even gonna let us, do something different down there.
that's
That's all
really
we have. I mean, that's,
you just can't really do
yeah.
that. Anyway, I think I kind of almost finished up here. important, as I talked about reducing fuels, that if you do become a fire-wise community, it gives you some benefits for insurance. Because you can now say that we are doing things, we have a 3-year plan, and we're doing risk assessments and reducing fuel. We have to put 40 hours in. I put 40 hours every year, weed whack in my backyard alone. Right? I do it now 4 times a year. Used to do it once maybe. So we want to do that. But the proposal is that we invest in a perimeter system. We become a fire-wise community. We work with the fire department to have a very particular emergency plan. You realize that we have one exit down here. If that thing's cut off, where do you go? Me, I got an ATV. I'm going that way. Rest of us, it's scary. Work with the fire department to do that. New detection, so the sensors, the detection before protection, very important. Reduce fuel, do it down, right? That's kind of the thinking. So that's the discussion. So I'm going to stop there and open it up. I'm good. I have it. Open up for any questions, and I can answer a bunch of them that have been raised so far. People that have put up there.
How much money is going to cost us to clean up all the dead trees around this community?
A lot. I would just say a lot. Working with the fire department.
I would think that would be number one thing to do. Before we really have a fire, we should clean up all the dead trees
Yeah.
around this neighborhood.
So the problem
Does the
is,
state of California offer any budget for this
they do,
kind of work?
and part of what we do in the commission is that we find places of high risk and we actually deploy resources to put those places at lower risk. Our recommendation to the city council is to put $75,000 of city funds just for fire department coming out and reducing fuel in areas. Here's your problem. It's not your property or my property, even though I just had a giant, massive oak tree just split apart.
Open space.
Right? It's open space. And I literally spent an hour with Brian Malone this morning, who's the head of open space operations and fire protection, and I'm yelling at him. You're not being responsible. You're like PG&E. You've gone and expanded your open space. You're making it more natural because that's what your nature lovers want, and you are not maintaining what you have. Those areas up there have no fuel reduction. They run around here with a tractor that cuts a 15-foot wide path. You think that's going to stop a wildfire coming from Hunters Point? No way. It is not responsible. The problem is they don't have funding to go do this either. They're putting all their money into buying new properties. That's their charter. Get more. Our issue is Fremont Alder really is being PG&E.
PG&E?
PG&E, meaning they have continued to advance their infrastructure without maintaining what they have. If you walk, I mean, there are people on rolling hills who spend money to have 100 feet of Fremont Alder land cleared at their expense, just so they don't have the fire risk.
I'm surprised Fremont Olin lets them do it.
They almost don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he was yelling at me today, I can't let you get on my land to put a sprinkler, and I'm going, what? But they're moving slowly, because it's been 3 years and I've been really pushing hard on them. But they are not doing what they need to be doing, and that puts our homes at risk. And
Which government branch they belong to? Belong to state, belong to city? Who control them?
so Fremont Older is part of the Mid-Penn Open Preserve.
Okay.
It is a organization that was put together by Measure AA many years ago. It's a statewide Northern California organization. 95% of the revenues come from property taxes, and they use that money to expand Open Preserve. And you can see they're going all down the whole side of the state here, and they're grabbing up any land they can.
But they are not responsible for fire prevention?
If you look at their last year's statement, wildfire are a natural part of nature's activities,
Except the PG&E.
except for PG&E.
PG&E.
This year, they're starting to have a little stronger fire initiative, and frankly, it's because I am in their face. In their face, and you're irresponsible.
So if a state assembly change their, a state assembly can go do something, change their.
Correct. Right.
And then there will difference funding.
Right.
Okay. That's,
Shall we-
I agree with Hoover. Okay, that's the first thing we need to do. I mean, and even we talk, I talk about daily, we are senior community, going to senior community. But we can have a volunteer come over to helping to do it, but they not even allow us budget.
So I think you're gonna find is that reducing fuel is a big job,
Okay.
and you're not gonna find people to do it every year to the level that you need it done.
Okay.
And again, your issue is not gonna be your yard, it's not gonna be a fire in our neighborhood that's gonna
Right,
be the issue.
right.
It's that way.
Right,
So
understand.
there's
But
no
if-
way to solve that, but I
But
know.
even we are volunteer, we form a volunteer team like Red Cross, I can talk, Santa Clara Public Safety
Mhm.
Officer, you know, that's part of the Santa Clara Public Safety Officer, and he's one of my good friends. So we can come out volunteer like Red Cross, we form it with government help, we could do once per year. Well, may not clean everything, but we'll be helping. The trouble is, even we do that, this open space officer may not help in the street.
Exactly right. And it's my word. I'm less worried about our community, because I think we're gonna become more fire fuel sensitive over the next 5 years,
Mhm.
and we're gonna start naturally doing more things.
But they are not still allow us to do it.
There's not-
So what is the Santa Clara County Public Safety Officer, what he can do?
There is not enough funding.
But the state can come in, at least they allow for volunteer to do it, well, even.
You can, I mean, if you're worried about Mid-Penn and saying we're gonna take a work team and go, they probably like it, right? Because they're not doing it.
Okay, I have breakfast, I will see the gentleman at least, sometime this week or next week. So I will ask him this, or I will get his, business card to you.
Okay.
In fact, I have one with me. He just mentioned my name, I knew him over 20 years.
Okay.
So, you can talk to him,
Mhm.
because he's supposedly is a public safety officer.
Right.
He's supposed to have something to say.
And again, I've been working on this for a long time, and you're gonna find there is no funding. No funding.
Understand, it looked like to us, we need all the help we can find. But that, based on what your statement is, it's not too much. But,
Oh, but if 90% of your funding comes from taxpayer dollars, we should be able to bring some pressure to bear to redirect that.
I've been working on it for 2 years. 2 years. I meet regularly with the chairman of the boards and the executive administrator. They are just now starting to change their tune. It's a long process.
Paulie, so you talked about the cameras, so I'm wondering, with the cameras and that kind of detection, is there any kind of alert system? You've been looking to that? How much timing is there from a camera sees a fire, some kind of signal,
So thank you, sir.
some kind of signal that would alert homeowners that we have a problem?
Great question, great question. And let me tell you, some of the technology that now exists for fire detection is extraordinary. AI-based, all satellite imagery, the campfire they saw in 5 minutes after it broke out. And those organizations got messaged to the fire department before the fire people got to the fire department. Great technology. We're not there yet today. The cameras first are gonna be viewed by public. The fire department controls the camera view, they can zoom and tilt and all the other things in the case of a fire. But it is public watching the fire cameras. That will change. Alert Wildfire is trying to put hundreds of cameras. They've got 15 now, they want to put hundreds of cameras. There's no way for them to monitor those without an AI engine behind it. That is going to come. And I've talked to the fire department about that. The technology exists, it's just they don't have the infrastructure to put it together anymore. In time though, it will be a fire department driven detection system. They would not only send out alerts, but they would hit the button to turn on the sprinklers. Whole thing would be that way. We're not there yet, but that is the goal, clearly the goal. Other questions?
What's the cost?
So,
Well, I know your design is not complete yet, but just give us some ballpark.
give you some good ballparks, good question, right? And it is changing because we're kind of looking at different approaches. I think to run a line, a 4-inch line down the ridge is probably $50,000 or $60,000. The cost is in the pumps, and the pumps are about $100K, 70 to $100K each. If we had one, then you're looking. If we had two, then you're probably looking at 200, 250K, kind of in that number, right? So it's a pretty big number when you actually go and look at the double pumps. We're trying to pay for the pump there with the zone 2, if you will, and so that would just be a supplement to this, and so we could reduce some of that cost. But if you were to just throw a number out, I'd say 200K, right?
And is that 200K across from Rio Lane and Blue Hills, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You across it. And the reason why we wanted both streets here is because it's really, and even my house, I'm really part of you guys.
You're not on any.
The simple truth is that, if the fire comes this way, I'm just the third house in line. So,
even we put those sprinkler system there, how we solve the water capacity problem? We still have we don't have enough tank there, right?
right, and so really that's where we have to look at the other design pieces, right? And we're working with a company called Barton Pump, who we've been working with for 40 years on our pump down here.
That's who we always use.
Yeah, San Jose Water loves them, and so Bob Barton and I are just now, we're buddies, right? And so he would have to go through and engineer the solution. And he hears a 1-inch line, he's gonna go, bad news. I promise you, he's gonna say that's not.
It doesn't come close to keeping up with our.
I do, we can't, right? I have no
That
idea
thing
you had a 1-inch
fills and
line. I was
shuts
hoping
off.
you had at least 2, if not 4, but 2
No.
you could do it.
No, we have a 1-inch
is killer,
service
right?
from, yeah.
And so that it means you have to look at different things. It may mean bigger tanks, you want to look at some different solutions, right? If you wanted to go down that path. That's really what it boils down to.
So we haven't seen the whole picture here, based on what you tell us.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what that whole solution would look like right now. I can tell you, I have a sense for it. But I would tell
I'm
you-
not trying to criticize what you say,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a fact out.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, right? And I would tell you that I'm in a strange situation as well. And you all need to understand this one key point. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I don't want to do it anymore. And so one of your answers will be, great idea, let's do it next year. And you know what my answer is going to be?
You are not here.
If one of you want to do it, that's a great idea. If you want it done now, you have to make a decision now. That's the hardest part about tonight's discussion, is that the Zone 1 Rolling Hills, it's in play right now. We are ordering pumps and we're going to get that thing operational. Zone 2, pipes are in, haven't put any sprinklers, wondering about the pumps. Zone 3, what we've talked about here, unknown. If we want to do Zone 3, we're probably going to have to change the Zone 2 plan in order to get the pump. And so I'm trying to coordinate a moving, fluid design. Most importantly, I need to know whether you're in or not. Because frankly, if you're not in, I'm going to do Zone 2, and I'm not going to worry about anything on Zone 3. That's really the honest truth. I'm going to build Zone 2 out. And the problem is, when you talk about pumps, those pumps will be sized exactly for the environment, the elevation drop, the number of heads, the quantity per heads. It's going to be very particularly designed. And once you spend $100,000 on a pump, you're not going to go back and refix it. So that's one of the issues we face. And so that's why I had to apologize to you early on, because it is an unreasonable request to absorb, to integrate, and then make a decision on this. But it's kind of the issue that we have right now.
So I definitely get the urgency. I don't quite understand the urgency that we have to decide tonight. I mean, is this system actually gonna get in place and operational this fire season, or are we really looking at next fire season?
Let me-
Yeah, I'm talking, I mean,
let
there's
me
people
answer
who
your-
aren't here today, and,
Let me answer your
Yeah.
question directly, and that's why I said I'm being terribly unreasonable. I am off this project in 6 weeks. So if this decision isn't made, if the new design isn't structured, and this process isn't underway, I'm not gonna do it. That's all I can tell you. And so if you guys wish to take it on yourself, I will be an advisor to you, but I will not be accountable. Okay?
So how many homes are on Blue Hills?
I think we
11.
have 7.
11?
Is it 7?
7, right?
7. Oh, yeah, it's probably, yeah, it could be
How
7.
many,
7.
how many on our street?
15, but I don't know, whether everybody
I know.
will participate, right? Especially the people at the bottom of the hill who are near multiple fire hydrants and the like, are, this is what we sort of experienced with the water upgrade in San Jose, is that, people who were, especially down the hill and near fire hydrants and the like, were less interested.
And so, that's right. And we've had that issue with our community as well, and it's pretty clear. People say, I'm at the base of the hill, I don't need to pay as much or anything at all.
So we have 15, but, total on Maria Lane, which is more than what, this is, in my opinion, this is independent of the water company. Might get, because not everybody, there's more people on Maria Lane that are in the water company. Right, the lower 3 houses are not on the water company.
Got it.
My anticipation had been this had nothing to do with the water company. It sounds like maybe it will if we have to engage our tanks or whatever up there
Could have been.
to work that out. But
Right.
it's, really independent of the water company. It's the decision for everybody on the street. And, I mean, it's tough. It's a blank check is tough. I mean.
I totally
Let me
agree.
ask you this. We got this videotaped. We get this information out to the community, to Maria Lane. We need to make a decision by Sunday. That's reasonable?
Oh, yeah. Okay. What I mean
You're
is,
saying tonight, you mean like?
I mean,
in the
what,
next
here's
5
what
to 6
people are
days.
saying. I wanna go think about this for 2 or 3 months. Guess what? Or the fire season is over, let's re-engage in April.
Right.
And I
And that's what I was looking for as well. I'm looking for the people that get to view the video, that folks get to think about it for, a couple days anyway. And, because, one of the things that the stuff that's gone out to people, there hasn't been any cost projections in those at all. I mean, it's been, it's been really, open-ended. I mean, it
Right.
sounds like it's, 10 to 15K per household maybe, or
Correct.
maybe more. If we have to replace all our tanks or something crazy like that, that's gonna bump it
So
up a
what
lot.
we've asked our neighborhoods for, ours is 10K a house.
Right.
And that's, as just a rough number, is expensive. And to you, the issue really becomes your economies, your financials. Now, here's my personal view. Home insurance costs are going up to $30,000 a year.
You said a fact.
That is a fact.
Okay.
If you look at right now, Lloyd's in London, the lady that just lost her insurance, she got a new insurance through $25,000 a year. The other people at the base of Rolling Hills wasn't able to use an insurance carrier, a normal one, and California has a program called the FAIR program, fire assurance and whatever, something like that, right? The details of the FAIR program are really important to understand. There's
I
2 of them
think
that
this-
stand out. Let me finish. It's really important, right? The first one is your max is $1.5 million of coverage, maximum. Now that means not only fixing your house, but tearing down the old house, landscaping, off rental, all that goes into that $1.5 million maximum amount. So you have much less to rebuild your house. The other thing, that 1.5 million is $30,000. If you have a shake roof, it goes to $40,000 per year. Currently, I pay $3,800 for insurance. It went up from $3,000 last year, $800. I'm not gonna pay $30,000 for insurance. If my insurance is that rate, I'm moving.
Yeah, it's news to me, so
This is what's happening.
Yeah, so
And it's happening all over the valley. I've been up and down the valley. There's a fire chief next to Rancho San Antonio that runs 3 businesses, and State Farm canceled his insurance. He's an ex-fire chief. And he said, you're next to Rancho San Antonio. You're extreme risk. This is what's happening.
A
Now,
practical way of handling this is for us all to contact our insurance to see what they would tell us, because my policy is renewed every July, so I'm okay this year. I don't know if any one of you has an upcoming renewal.
No, ours was just renewed in September.
September,
So-
that was okay.
so most of the
It
homes,
was okay.
if you think
I
about
know
most homes,
Allstate pulled out many years ago, not for this reason, I know that as a fact.
Yeah.
They pull out for other reasons, I don't know what. It's not related to fire, because you mentioned Allstate. I happened to be Allstate before. But, you know, I do believe what you
the
said.
one that's dying is AAA right now. That's the one I mentioned.
Okay, then.
Now, and I know, by the way, I'm the vice chair of the fire commission. The chair is the ex-mayor of Saratoga from 2010 to 2016, Chuck Page. He's a farmer insurance agent. And he and I have spent hours talking about the insurance industry and what they're doing and what's happening. You know what he tells me? Insurance companies are leaving California because they no longer want to have the risk. There is no insurance company that we could even do a bulk insurance policy for our area, because no insurance company wants to take that many high-risk homes into their portfolio. This is a serious issue.
Just getting the policy. I mean, that's nothing compared to collecting. This area got wiped out. You have to go through all the hassle of collecting the money.
Yeah, I'm not,
So, another
my
person.
point is to motivate people to join. The most practical way is to figure out how much the insurance is going to be for next year. If that goes up by $3,000, then in X number of years, you recoup your costs.
Gotcha.
That's how I'm looking at it.
So there was a question raised to me. If I do this, can I guarantee an insurance policy decrease and by one amount? There's no one in the planet who can guarantee what a for-profit business is going to do next year. We know every insurance company is upgrading their risk maps as we speak. And they are changing their policies as AAA has done. They are non-renewing policies left and right.
What concerns me, one thing, is that, you know, they have these general policies they put in place, right? I mean, they quoted these 3 that allowed, you know, that motivated them to cancel the one homeowner's insurance policy. I mean, is this fire perimeter system going to be something that they even consider? I mean, even though it's something we've done, it may have improved our situation. I mean, they may look at their criteria, boom, 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 and it's like, you know, fire perimeter system, that's not on our list, we don't consider that, and you're still canceled. I mean, do we have any confidence that
No.
that's going to?
Cannot guarantee anything.
No, I understand you can't guarantee. it,
Cannot
but it's,
guarantee anything. It is only a step in the hopes that it helps. Now, someone asked, hey, there's other solutions. We could put a ridge watering system. I know for a fact the insurance companies laugh at that. It's a cheap solution, but if a superheated fire is 5 feet from your house where that sprinklers would matter, your house is gone. They categorically say that will not change their view of your fire risk scenario.
Right.
No one has done a fire perimeter system like this.
This fire department will be lower the fire risk in our area if we implement what we propose today.
Will this,
Fire department
It's
will
gonna
lower
change
the
the
risk.
map.
Change the map.
I don't know. How could I say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here's what'll happen. Let me explain, when you talk about insurance, let me explain the process. You have insurance agents here in the local area that represent large companies. What they do today is that those insurance holders actually are accountable for the profitability of their policies. And so they actually, like a risk investor, will have low-risk properties and a few high-risk properties. And what Chuck was explicit about, he goes, I never have more than 10%